welcome along to our first session here on Full Time. I want to send a big kia ora going out to our sponsors, of course, Racetrack Motors down there on Grey Street. Also want to send a big shout out going out to Rico Gear, who got married yesterday. Big congratulations going out to Rico and of course his wife Beck, I believe it is. So big kia ora going out to them. Anyway, joining us on Full Time, of course, we have with us Ra Walker. Kia ora, bro.
Yeah, good morning, Peter. Good morning, boys. And another fantastic weekend ahead in G-Town. It's blue skies, the suns are above, but I think we're going to be in for a hot one. And congratulations to the cousin Rico. I hope they have a fantastic honeymoon.
Indeed. Also joining us up there from Paeroa. Hopefully it's nice and sunny up there as it is in Gisborne. We have with us Reno Wilkinson. Morena, bro.
Yeah, morena, bros. No, it's pouring down with rain, bro. We got thunder, lightning, and God, it's a horrible day.
Poor thing. What a poor thing.
No. Already talking caca this morning. No, it's blue skies, mate. Plenty of sunshine.
Nice. Also joining us there from across the ditch, as it is, somewhere there over in Australia, we have our man Jason Tawhiwhirangi, otherwise known as JT. Kia ora, bro.
Yeah, kia ora, boys. Lovely day here in the Goldie. 21 degrees. It's just after 5:30, and we're heading for a stinker. Yes, congratulations to Reno. I'm going to correct you, Keith, because that's what I do. He got married on Thursday.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the cuzzy bro Bailey Mackey was one of his groomsmen. I did see some footage on Instagram. It looked like a very good day, and Wally Lewis was there, the king, and Ricky Gere, the drag king, his father. Good man, Ricky Gere. He used to referee rugby league at home there, and used to wear the tight shorts and the tight headband, and geez, you could blow that whistle, I tell you. How are you, boys?
Indeed. Beautiful. They were certainly in a beautiful setting, it seemed. That is for sure, JT. I'm not exactly sure where it was, but, they were looking out upon the sea. Looked beautiful for sure, eh?
Yeah, just over the border in Byron Bay is probably about half an hour to an hour from the Gold Coast Airport. So just in northern New South Wales, the most eastern part of mainland Australia, Byron Bay Lighthouse. Yeah, lovely part of the world. And once again, congratulations to Rico and Beck and Ricky and Annie Gere. Good people.
Indeed. And they certainly would have loved seeing their boy getting married, and a big congratulations goes out to them both from, I guess, all of us. Let's get into some sport now. Of course, last weekend there, JT, I guess you could say it was a bit of redemption over there in England, with the Kiwis absolutely giving it to the English over there. Is that how you see things there, JT?
Well, we talked about last week how I liken the bigger Kiwi supporters like being on a roller coaster. So if we go back 12 months to the last World Cup, we were at the absolute depths of despair with the results. We didn't even make the semi-finals. A glimmer of hope with Madge Maguire appointed as coach. We go across to Denver and lose to England. That's okay. Then we come home and beat Australia. And, once again, Kiwi hearts are smiling, all that sort of stuff. And we're looking forward to a good hit out, a good series, and some good performances against the Poms. We lose the first two tests, not by much, but still, the roller coaster's starting to dip. And then we're on our way up again. Last week was at 36-0, and so that's the life of a Kiwi rugby league supporter, mate.
You sort of shared the same sentiments with that there, didn't you, Reno?
Yeah, totally agree, 100% with JT what he said there as well. It is a roller coaster ride, and good win for the boys. They're all home, some of them. Some of them like Jared Wairia-Hargraves and young Manu are all over there in San Francisco, or America actually, out at the beach, riding around in their push bikes and build up for NRL season, obviously. But great result, good result there, and I just look forward to more test matches next year.
Yeah. You must share the same sort of sentiments as well there, Rail Walker?
Yeah, well, I think JT and Reem touched on it. I mean, it's a roller coaster ride if you are a Kiwi black and white fan. But hey, I mean, a lot of those league fans would have had enough practice supporting the Warriors. Oh, yes. Trust me, how they go from one win to about 10 losses and back to another 3 wins. I mean, such inconsistency. But Yeah, and in terms of the Kiwis, look, I think they've got a good young team there to build on for next season, and it is going to be a watch the space. And I hear the Warriors, they've got the contract door open to Mr. Sean Johnson, and the $1 million man, and I think he may have really had the odd offer from overseas clubs as well. So, yeah, Shawnee, I hope he stays in the country, but as you know, you got to go where you get the best offer. And I suppose as long as he continues to play a couple more games next season for the Kiwis, with those young players coming through, I think can only be a good thing.
Yeah, well, true that. But Reno, you suspect he's going to be leaving the Warriors?
Well, we know he's not going to the Raiders, so
Okay.
that's a definite given at the moment. Who knows, I suppose that's the $1 million question. I was talking to Sir Peter Leach yesterday, and he doesn't really know himself. So Sean's back at this stage doing the beach thing at Mangawhai Heads, brand new house there, catching with his lovely fiancée, and just focusing on spending some time with her and family. No one really knows at the moment what's going to happen there. It does really sound like the Warriors are going to release him.
Right.
He's just got to find a club where he's going to go to, and I know she's got interest from over in Australia as well for resurgence in netball. So hopefully it'll work out well for both of them. And, well, they just invested into a whole new house and everything. So, it's up in the air. We'll just have to see what happens, eh?
Well, what do you reckon about Johnson there, JT?
I think he needs to go, boys. He's at this stage of his career, it's definitely potential unfulfilled, I think. And maybe a breath of fresh air at a new club might reinvigorate his passion, his desire for the game. Because I remember when he first came onto the scene, he was touted as the next big thing, and he had some big shoes to fill, to be fair, which was, Stacey
Yes.
Jones is probably the best halfback we've ever produced, and unfortunately Sean, in my opinion, hasn't quite lived up to the expectation.
He's kind of right there, isn't he, Reno?
Oh, totally. I remember going up to the game and they released the best Warriors team, the top 13 team, and there was a struggle there for who would fill in the number 7. Well, the obvious choice was the little general, so they moved Sean Johnson out to number 6 to be the ranked number best 6 in the game, but basically he plays 7. But yeah, this young kid, used to play in the headgear in the youth grade and come on through, and a lot of expectations. I'm like JT, I'd love to see him go to another Aussie club. I reckon that's where we may see him break through with some of that potential that we expected out of him. He really hasn't been the same kid since he broke his leg. Unfortunately, since then, that's kind of made a bit of a mark. He's had his ups and downs, but it's like I say, like JT said at the start there, it's the life of a leaguey, and hey, you have your ups and downs. Just one of those things. Bring on next year, I'm excited. I see the boys are training. 25 years, gone back to the old DB Bitter colours as well. So, roll out the merchandise, no doubt. Ray will buy another jersey or top. I'll buy another jersey or top. Go to a few of the home games. I was actually tempted to go to Whangarei, watch them play against the West Tigers in the pre-season. But, yeah, no, it's exciting times, and see what happens. That's just another year, and I'll be watching on Facebook. I think it's next weekend at Gosford. JT might know, the Legends of League game. I think it's going to be streamed live on Facebook.
Oh, true. Oh, wow. Is that correct there, JT?
Yeah, so there's like Manly, I think the Bulldogs are going to team, maybe the Broncos. There's also a, what do they call it, like a mixture team. I can't remember the actual terminology they use. So yeah, a few former players getting together and running around raising some money for charity. Be a good weekend. Be a great weekend, actually.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Wendell Sailor, all those guys.
Yeah, that's
Eva
right.
Menzies, there's a whole heap of them. So, yeah, mate, it's been a cracker weekend.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it will be. Anyway, JT, with the league, with the New Zealanders, of course, I guess having a bit of a break to the NRL starts. What can we look forward to with the future with the New Zealand team?
Well, the World Cup in 2021, Keith, in the north of England, 3 years from now. And just want to touch on, at the moment in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, there's a 4-team competition to fill one of those last remaining spots in that tournament. So it's between the American Tomahawks, the Jamaican, get this for a name, Reggae Warriors, Chile and Canada. So in round 1, Jamaica beat Canada and America beat Chile. So It's round 2 tomorrow our time, and Jamaica will play America. Basically, the winner of that game will go through to the tournament. So I've got a couple of friends. We visited Jamaica a few years back, and Romeo Monteith is the coach of the Jamaican national side. I spent a bit of time with him over there. Not doing much, just talking dribble as usual.
Right.
But it's good to see the game develop. I remember remarking at the time that the Jamaicans reminded me a lot of the Fijians, very athletic, very physical, but just needed a bit of guidance. So here we are, some 5 years later, and they're on the cusp of making the next World Cup, which I think is a marvellous effort.
Great to see that the game of league is kind of growing there, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of these guys used to play rugby union, but they had a few dramas with the union imposing too many different sanctions on them and running too much money, and basically took it back to how rugby league was started. So these guys had to pay for their own way, and they couldn't, take money off the association to represent their country or to do different things. So they were struggling. So some guy from the north of England who was holidaying there at the time said, "Look, mate, you can come and play rugby league. It's a professional sport. You can, there's no amateur restrictions and such." And so a lot of basically that's how rugby league started in Jamaica.
Right. Now, this is, I guess, a talking point that I think you've alluded to over the years, Ra, is the fact that, it needs to get out and about a lot more, the game rugby league, eh?
Yeah, well, rugby's already got a bit of a foot in the door in that regard. But no, you're right, Keithy. I think in terms of the global expansion of the game, you've got to get it away from the main home unions or the countries that have been playing it for years, and actually get it into these lesser known countries, because it will benefit the code in the long run. To spread the expansion of rugby league, and I for one, I get pretty excited when I hear the names like Jamaica and Chile and even the States. I mean, the Tomahawks, if it ever catches on over there, we know that there's a huge pool of talented athletes, and not to mention that they're not one for sort of funds and finance, but Jamaica, I reckon. That'll be a team to sort of keep an eye out for. It always reminds you of that African country in rugby. Is it Nigeria? Who always do well at sevens, and they haven't adapted too well to the 15s game. But you can see the potential, the rawness in the way they play. They've got big boys, quite athletic, quite fast, and great ball skills. And it probably is an African thing, because you have a look at Africans, the way they play sports in America. They're just so talented and gifted that it ever translated to other codes. I reckon, watch out, those teams that are already established. But no, I think great for the global expansion of the game, and may it long continue.
Where do you think the game will expand more? I mean, are there any other places on the horizon there, JT, do you think?
I know a lot of the Eastern European countries like this, the Balkan states like Serbia and Croatia, who have a lot of Australian residents that have returned home, that have lived in Sydney or up here in Queensland. They've taken the game back there. So they have a Serbian Super League competition. It's played in Romania, not as strong as the rugby, of course, but places like that, obviously, it needs to be strengthened and built on what we've got in the Pacific with Tonga and Fiji and Samoans as well, Cook Islands. So that's the next big step, I think, and then to take it a bit further afield. But Ra touched on it, mate. If we could get into that American market, then, the world's your oyster.
Yeah.
That's where the big bucks are.
That's right. Absolutely. I agree with you. Now, also, what we discovered, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, the Women's World Cup for rugby. The Women's Rugby World Cup will be coming to New Zealand, of course, 2021. It's going to be played right here in our backyard. That's going to be pretty exciting there, Rena?
Yeah, a lot of work behind the scenes with Dr. Farah Palmer being done with this, and obviously being the big driving force that came down to either us or Australia will get the hosting rights. And only the other morning, like you say, they made the announcement in the games that were played in Auckland and Whangarei. So they are the dominant areas. They will be hosting some of the games for 2021. But this is huge. It just shows the rise of the game of the women's rugby game. They've been behind, everything, and just taken a backward step. And now all of a sudden over the last, 24 months, I would guess, it come through tenfold. And look at this, the icing on the cake, the hosting of the World Cup. That's just great news.
Still got a lot of work, I suppose, ahead of them, though, haven't they?
Well, you would guess so, but I think the